All right. This thing is always mad slow. All right. Oh, I'm gonna need we need some intro music. That's coming up soon, man. What's going on? What's going on? This is like I don't want to say episode 10. Episode 10 is something else. I think we gotta stop calling it that. But this is the Nets versus Pistons not a recap, but a reaction. You know, it's day to day. So silent in here. I'm missing B. Missing Mel. Mel get well. Mel get well. Mel get well. B he's on FMLA right now. He might jump in. If not, he might do his own thing. But man, the Nets couldn't even score more than 111. They couldn't even get to their average. This was a bad loss. Terrible, terrible, as Sir Charles would say. Um, just bad. I was talking to B. We were going back and forth during the game. I was saying they got to get Joe Harris involved, but he made a good point. They were chasing Harris off the line, so he couldn't shoot his 3 pointers the way that they normally do. But still, that's going to be your third option. That's going to be the guy you have to get involved. This is just, I mean, what's this guy's name? That guy, he went on for like 32. The small forward for Detroit is horrible. I think what's the center's name? Not Doliak. That's who he reminds me of. Michael Doliak. Remember him? He played for the Knicks for a little bit. He has a jump shot. But it was the Nets are gonna give up points in the paint, 3 point shot. Their defense is horrible. They gave up 122 to the Pistons. The Pistons average 108. They just traded Rose to the Knicks, which I think is kind of I don't know how the Knicks traded the second round pick for Derrick Rose. That makes no sense to me. But I mean, he's a Thibodeau guy. Derrick Rose is, and they got what they wanted. Uh, at this point, I don't think there's any way around it. Even if, I mean, with Andre Drummond, if that's what that's been the speculation. If they buy him out in Cleveland and the Nets pick him up, even with that, I don't. That's the only way to resolve this. Kyrie and James Harden are not a formidable duo. They're not what they're not what Durant and Kyrie was early on. Durant is obviously beyond the equalizer. Um, but even with Harden, this is why when even in his prime, um, you don't put him on the same level as Kevin Durant or LeBron or Giannis or AD. He's going to pick up points. He's going to pick up rebounds. He's going to be an amazing stat stuffer. He doesn't elevate his team to another level, to that level that Durant and LeBron do, and historically, like the Jason Kidds of the world. I just saw he tied Jason Kidd's record for double digit of six games in a row. It's if there was ever a time to trade Kyrie during the season, it would be now. He's performing, and yes, he's a headache, but this is the time to trade him. If you wanted to trade him for who, you want to go a 3 and D guy, you would have to go. Even defensively, how would a Kyrie Paul George trade look right now? I don't know if the Clippers are willing to give up Paul George at this point. They're doing great as well. A straight up trade like that, I'm just throwing it out there, but that's the only thing I see to resolve these issues. I mean, Kyrie Irving, great scorer, just defensively, he's too weak. And then you have Harden, like I said, it's awful. trying to think of this guy's name. The center for the Pistons. The Knicks down by 3 at the moment to the Heat. They look good. They said Derrick Rose is available to play, by the way. Real quick. Plumlee, 14 and 12. He averages 11 a game, or no, he doesn't. I know he averages 9 points a game, 10. So he had 4 more points. But the thing with him was that he scored 11 by the third quarter. I think by the end of the second half, he had 11 points. That's too much. That's too much for and it had to do with points in the paint. He doesn't shoot 3-pointers. Jeremy Grant, 4 of 8 from 3. Just destroyed the Nets. There's no stopping him. 32 points. He averages 24. I mean, he's a good player. He's a good player. DeLon Wright averages 9 points a game, 10 points a game. He had 22. I guess he picked up for Derrick Rose. He made up for Derrick Rose's his points. What? Are you kidding me? This is horrible. And it's not like Kyrie didn't score. His shooting percentage was down. I mean, you have to learn. I don't know if Harris's pick and roll game is great, but that was the key for me. If you're gonna miss one of your top 3 scorers with Kevin Durant going down or not being available, Harris has to somehow get involved. Again, the turnovers. B was another 7 turnovers for James Harden. 5 for DeAndre Jordan. What is DeAndre Jordan? Anyway, I mean, it's right around their average turnovers. They just couldn't pick up anything else. What could the Nets really do here? 12 assists, 7 by Kyrie, 12 assists for James Harden. Joe Harris, 6 points. 6 points. 6 points. This, they have to figure out a way to get that third score. I mean, Green has been around the league. He is what he is. He is what it is. You can't expect him to, Jeff Green, you can't expect him to all of a sudden step up and be something that he's not. But Harris they were trying to get to him in the fourth quarter, which the Pistons, that was probably a game plan. Just let Kyrie and Harden go for 60, 80 points and just play Harris and take away that third option, run him off of his comfort zone. And that, it worked. It worked for them. So this is just, it's getting bad. Even if it gets close to playoff time and whether or not you're able to get Andre Drummond, it's not going to be. It's just a different situation for any team to be locked in during a pandemic with the rules where they are today. That's what makes it a little bit different. Not a little bit. It changes everything. If you're the Nets and you have 3 guys, 3 mega personalities, and you diva-like personalities. I mean, I've dubbed KD and Kyrie the crybaby brothers. And, KD seems to play no matter what. He doesn't have to worry about Westbrook or the Draymond Greens of the world. He doesn't play well with another personality like that. And Kyrie doesn't seem abrasive to that extent. He doesn't seem confrontational or aggressive to the point to the extent of a Russell Westbrook or Draymond Green. So I just can't. There's nothing KD can do. There's nothing anyone can do to motivate him to play defense. Even if he wanted to, it'd be a mismatch. He would have to play an Iverson style, passing lanes game, and he's already too old to try to, discover that. And I don't even know if that's possible in this league where it's zone defense dominated. So it's not one on one. It's not like you can read these sort of offenses from the '90s that was determined by like one guy. It was dominated by one man. It was hero ball, hero ball, dead ball era. Iverson's able to pick off the passes. And Iverson had long arms too. He was super athletic. I don't think Kyrie's as athletic, especially on defense, as Iverson. I mean, Iverson wasn't any he wasn't a super athletic athlete like Pippen or Kawhi is, but he averaged 2-3 steals a game at least every year. So when Steve Nash, I love his answer the other day when he, no pun, I love his response or his answer to the Iverson Kyrie Irving comparison. And Kyrie's more skilled on offense, and he considered Iverson more explosive. I think Iverson played towards his strength, and he was relentless, and he didn't think as much. I think Kyrie, he goes in, and there wasn't this thought. I mean, because Iverson was definitely a diva, but he didn't go in there. He didn't have to overthink, and Kyrie tends to do that off the court. Um, this is bad though. You can't lose even with your best guy out. Historically, if the Lakers are missing LeBron, they're not losing to the Pistons. If AD is playing, it's just not happening. They went to overtime the other day, with LeBron, and they needed to save him. But I just don't see that happening. Full strength AD, or they'd be more competitive than this. I mean, this was. I don't think the Nets ever had the lead. They weren't even up 3-0. I think they tied the game at 3, and then after that, the Pistons took the lead and kept it going. At this point, even if you get Drummond and you add him in that mix, maybe it'll help. But what can you get for Kyrie Irving? I gotta entertain that. When B gets, maybe I get some comments, maybe I get some feedback on Twitter and Facebook. But that's where I'm at. Every other game, the Knicks look good for what they are, last in the league in offense. But that's my reaction. The Nets they don't have much. That you know the championship fever. Can they beat the Bucks in 7 games now? You'd have to. They'd have to take the bubble approach from 15 games left in the season. So because they can't risk any of their stars missing 7 days again. So they would have to play in a bubble type of atmosphere for the last 15 games of the regular season, and then including the playoffs. So usually when you have a lot of ifs like that with a team, at least for me, if I see a lot of ifs, if this, if that, I don't see a championship coming. And this is day to day. When they beat the Clippers, it was a different story. We were going crazy. The same way, as a as a as a as a spectator, you're going to seesaw your emotions. Your emotions are going to be on a seesaw with them. I just That's how they play. That's how they play the game. That's how they play their game. Offense and defensively, there is no seesaw. There is no seesaw on defense for the Nets. There's a straight saw. They get sawed all day long. They get chopped down. It's almost embarrassing. Um, but they'll make, at least they have Brooklyn a little excited, New York City a little excited. I'm just waiting for the next argument, the next fight to pick up, the next headline, next back page. Maybe it's a front page. James Harden snuffs Kyrie Irving at the strip club. They're gonna meet in front of a strip club in Queens. Oh, snap. bmad is connecting to audio and can't hear you yet. You can't hear me, B? How dare you? bmad did not connect his audio. bmad, get it together.
Yo,
We can hear you now, bmad.
it was good, man.
I'm here. You got your camera ready, or we're not gonna?
Nah, man, I can't. I gotta keep it brief, man.
I
Tonight
got
was
it.
a bad loss. Bad loss.
Wow.
Terrible. I didn't even watch the last 3 minutes. I mean, by that point, you just knew it was over, man. They just looked too undersized. No defense. It just looks bad, man. I don't know. It looks terrible just watching them right now.
I like this. I like that. We got the bmad reaction. We got B's reaction on here. Did you see how depressed he sounds? I'm glad. This is what it is to be a Knicks fan for like for your whole life.
Nah, I don't think it's that bad.
It is this
I don't
bad.
think it's Knicks fan bad, but it's bad.
So before you hooked up, before you got on, I was saying that you're not gonna agree. But even if they get Drummond, it might be time to let go of Kyrie, trade him.
Nah. I think it's too early. Too early. See how this big three works out. But I do believe they should get Andre Drummond, possibly trade DeAndre Jordan. I mean, he's decent. He can catch the lob for you, but defensive wise, he hasn't been the best. I don't know. They looked very undersized, man. Without KD, who's your best defender, their defense is anemic.
Yeah.
They just look pedestrian out there. And you got these teams like Detroit, who did beat LA, the Lakers, but these are teams that they should be beating. But the teams like Detroit, the teams like the Cavaliers, they all had the size advantage over the Nets, and it shows.
Hmm.
It's just yeah, man. They just look mismatched. They look overmatched.
Yeah, I just forgot the guy's name again. The center for the Pistons,
Yeah, Plumlee.
Plumlee. He averages not around 10
Yeah,
points a game.
Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plum. He averages 10 a game, but he had
He's a
that.
former. He's a former net too.
He's a former everything, isn't he? Plumlee was on it. Oh, he was all right on the Nets. He
He
doesn't
did a
shoot
good job
threes.
with the net.
Yeah, but he doesn't shoot threes, and he scored 10 by the end of the half or 11 by the end of the first half. So it's going to what you say. You're saying he doesn't shoot 3 pointers, so they're taking advantage of that. The points in the paint, and then Jeremy Grant, he averages 24, so he does average a good amount. He's a scorer.
Yo, Jeremy Grant yeah, he looked like an all star tonight. I
Yeah,
mean, he's averaging. They said what he's averaging 24 a game.
right, 24.
So this is his come out game. But it seems like every time we play a team like this, it's like a unknown player or up and coming players come out game. Like they have their career highs, like he did tonight against us. It's
Mm.
like everyone, the Nets gonna have a target on their back because of the big three. So everyone who plays them, even I don't care if you're in 18th place or the last place team in the league, they're gonna try to give you the best shot. Everyone wants to make a name for themselves. So the Nets got to learn how to handle that. Everyone's gonna come at them every night. It's not gonna be like, all right, it's gonna be a walk in the park with this team because they have a bad record. Nah, they gotta smash teams. They gotta start really blowing teams out. We haven't seen too much of that yet, or at all.
Uh, it's not gonna happen until if they can get the Drummond deal done. I was also saying if by the time you get to the end of the season, the Nets are gonna have to play like they're in a bubble from 15 games on. And maybe other teams will, especially if they got to play for first place, playoff position and home court advantage, if that even matters this year. But what I mean by that is Durant is out for seven days. So they can't risk that. Again, they can't risk anyone. Maybe they can risk Kyrie, but they can't risk any. They might have to whole like playing a bubble 15 games out and then play in a playoff bubble as well. You know what I mean? It's like so that means they're gonna play. I think the playoffs is about 30 games. No, 15 and one. Or like say it's 20 games and then an extra 15 games during the regular season. That's a lot of
You gotta
games.
win. You gotta win 15. You gotta win. Yeah, you
Like
gotta
what?
win at least 15 to 17 games. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so you could lose 10 or 12. So technically, it's around 20 to 27 games you have to play in order to win, because they're not going 15 to 0 in the playoffs.
Nah.
So, but I just think there's a lot of
Nah.
ifs.
The only way
That
they do. Yeah, it's
the only way they can
a
do
lot
that.
of ifs.
Yeah, too many, and the only way they can and it's a lot of stress, and that's a lot of stress on Durant, who just came off the Achilles injury. Kyrie was injury prone. That's a lot of stress to have to win these games and play these games. Like, that's uncomfortable to be in a bubble like thing, I would think. I mean, we're all in a bubble mostly. We just opened up some indoor dining in New York, and people are relieved finally. They want to go to the bar, but they are not going to be relieved of those rules for the rest of the year. So they're going to have to play like they're in a bubble.
No.
Yeah, for a certain point. So I think that's another. Thinking ahead, they would have to do that. And the other day we touched on Steve Nash's first flaw that we saw for the year, and that was when he left Durant. That's when they called him out of the game. He earned his fifth foul, and then they rescinded it. But in the midst of that, they took him out because he said he was due to COVID. And we thought that it was weird to leave Durant in there with 4 fouls in the third quarter. The commentators today mentioned how,
Right.
Kyrie earned the technical that Steve Nash should have earned. Like, that's usually the coach that yells at the ref and he earns that for you. So they feel like he's timid. Like certain, how they let out certain subliminals. You're satisfied with Steve Nash's performance today?
Um, not really. I mean, I did actually get a chance. I told you this. I got a chance to actually meet him downtown Brooklyn right before the season started, and I got a chance to, I ain't gonna say I had a full conversation, but I had a chance to say say what's up, and he said he was ready. So I mean, we didn't know that we was gonna get James Harden. He didn't know, the way this season was gonna go. I mean, so far it's still early. I mean, it's a quarter. We're at past the quarter mark of the season. Still got some time. Still got some time for them to really find themselves. Him to find himself as a coach, but they need to build. And I don't know if they can, but they do need to build a defensive identity some way, somehow. And I don't know if they could, but that's his role. That's where he comes into play. I mean, his coaching staff ain't the greatest defensive coaching staff you got, especially when it's anchored by Mike D'Antoni. But I don't know, man. This team's not going to really survive if they don't play some form of defense. And that's what Steve Nash has to work on.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. So that's what Stormy pointed out. Stormy with the podcast, the Storm podcast, and she made a great point. Like, it's not, you can get
Tom Jenkins, yeah.
Yeah, you can get all the defenders you want. If you don't have all the cliche stuff we hear, if you don't get the coaches to implement the philosophy and constantly, I guess drill that in their head to D-up. We're gonna be in a seesaw spectacle. I was saying before you got on. They play offense that way,
Yeah.
and their defense there's no seesaw there. There's just straight saws. What I said, they get hammered defensively. They just know nothing. It's awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we said
And
enough.
I'm gonna leave on that note.
Yeah, we exhausted all our disgust. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're signing. So I'm not saying episode 10 anymore. I think that's disrespectful to the put it in perspective series. These are just Nets reactions. That's how I'm keeping
Yeah, I
it.
think so.
Fuck that. Can I say that? I can say that.
Sure. It's all
bmad.
shit.
bmad crashed the party. I appreciate it. I'm a chop and screw.
Raymundo. Yes, sir.
Raymundo Telemundo. I forgot to
Yeah,
introduce
man.
myself. Raymundo Telemundo. Signing off. bmad jumping in the mix. That's him with the ill old school sweatsuit. This is me with the sort of pink fuchsia off. You know what I'm saying? Salmon colored hat by K9 Company. Go holler at them, man. That's the people's. But we signing off, man. Another Nets reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
Disappointed. My brother. Till next time.
Yo. Till next time, everybody. Peace.